Hey there, I'm Josh, and this week I'm going to be just joshing around, fixing up my workshop. My workshop is in desperate need of a long overdue upgrade. Organized is not a word that I know the meaning of, like this lumber for instance. It's just one of many things that needs to be set up so that I can have a more efficient and better functioning workshop. So I'm going to try to put some shelves on this wall, find a better location for all this crap on the shelf and all that lumber on the floor. I'm going to get rid of these bikes finally, and these coats that have been hanging there for like a year, and utilize this wall for more shelving. Along with going through these scrap bins. Holy crap, that is a lot of junk. Hey, do you remember what's behind that blanket? It's my 3D printer, but currently it's just housing a bunch of garbage, like a non-functioning TV remote and other crap. And all these shelves just have random assortments of junk, like these crates full of random hardware. In fact, this workbench in general has just become a place to store a bunch of crap, like matches and pastel chalk and whatever that red thing is. And look, I have a container of trampoline springs for some reason. In short, there's not a lot of work being done on this workbench. Oh look, there's a picture of a weirdo. Oh wait, that's me. At least my paints are somewhat organized. That has to count for something, right? And let's look on the floor. Oh look, more crap, like logs and windshield washer fluid. Because why not? Let's just throw a bunch of junk all over the place. Wow, looking at that from a distance is even more irritating. I really need to upgrade this area. I need to clean and consolidate and organize in general. And hey, what's that red thing? Oh yeah, that's my bandsaw that quit working 3 weeks after I bought it. Thanks, Facebook Marketplace! So, first things first, I gotta unload all this junk off these shelves and out of this area. Hopefully this footage isn't too fast for you to follow, but I had to speed it up quite a bit because I have a lot of stuff that I had to get out of the way. In fact, this part took a lot longer than I initially anticipated. Because apparently I am a hoarder, and that's not a good thing. Anywho, I'll go over my plan. I'm clearing this area out because I'm planning on moving that workbench over into this corner. That workbench is 3 feet wide and 8 feet long. I'm going to have to modify it so it'll sit back in the corner alongside the other workbench. But you'll see that in a moment. My plan after I move this workbench is to put some sort of lumber storage in this area, and probably get rid of those shelves that store the paint cans as well. When I initially built that workbench, I never thought in a million years I would be getting into woodworking, or repainting toys and collectibles, whatever that's called. I built it so that I would have a surface to work on different things around the house, like a homeowner normally would. But if I would have known then what I know now, I probably would have built it differently. I'm removing these top shelves because I'm going to repurpose the lumber. Now that I've got everything cleared off, I'm going to start modifying the bench. I'm setting up my circular saw track because I'm going to cut the bench down to size. Like I previously mentioned, this bench is 36 inches wide, but I need it to be 30 inches wide, so I'm going to cut 6 inches off the end. By the way, this saw track is one of the best things that I've ever bought. I actually got it at a yard sale when I was on vacation in North Carolina, and it was like $2. Best $2 I ever spent, hands down. I'm removing these front legs from the bench, but I'm going to reuse them. Even the nails will be reused for something. But first, I have to get the new placement of these boards all figured out. And just look at that concentration. Once I got it all aligned, I reattached that leg and went on to the next one. And I repeated the same process with it. After that leg was reattached, I went to work on cutting off that front section, consisting of the bench top supports and the cross members in the bottom. I could have flipped this front board around, but why would I? It's got all that special artwork from my kids over the years. So I put the front board back in place, facing out of course, and reattached it. I reattached all the screws in the front face. as well as measuring and marking every 2 feet so that I could install some extra reinforcing cross members. I measured them, marked them, and cut them to size before installing them in place. And yes, even though I didn't show it in the video, I did nail them in place. Next up, I had to move all that stuff away from the wall so that I could slide the workbench over. While doing this, I made a mental note that I need to clean more often, because it's filthy and disgusting. But for now, I'll just use my force powers to pick up this broom and sweep up the best that I can. Once that corner was all cleaned up, I dropped the broom and slid the old workbench into place. And thankfully, it fit perfectly. For under the workbench, I wanted to utilize that space the best that I could as well. So I slid this old kitchen island under there, as well as my old toolbox. This kitchen island was previously being used by my kids for storage of their Legos. But now, it's all mine. Next up, I'm going to make some shelves for this wall. I'm starting by setting my table saw blade to 45 degrees and cutting plywood into strips. The reason for this is because I'm building these shelves using the French Cleat system. This is the same design that I used building my existing shelves. So all that I'm really doing is extending the rails out either side of the existing shelves. The French Cleat system operates on the principle of interlocking cleats. The back rails are installed with a 45-degree bevel sticking out. Then each shelf bracket has a cleat with the same bevel facing in the opposite direction. Typically, when you see other people building the French Cleat style of shelves, you'll see the back rails are installed a little more closely together. And that's perfectly fine, but that's not how I wanted to do it. I just wanted mine to have a little more vertical spacing. You can see that my existing shelves consisted of 3 8-foot rails. So by extending all 3 rails on the left side and the bottom 2 rails on the right, I'm effectively more than doubling my usable shelf space. In fact, I had so much extra space by the end of this that I really didn't know what to put on all the shelves. And that's a good thing, because now I have a lot of room to grow. After cutting out all of the cleats, I went to work on tracing and cutting all of the angled shelf brackets. Early on in the process, I made a decision to use up as much of my scrap plywood as possible, and I'm doing just that. These are all scrap cutoff pieces that are left over from several outdoor nativity scenes that I made for Christmas. And needless to say, I'm glad that I didn't throw any of it out. You may have noticed that to cut out all these triangles, I'm using my brand new bandsaw, which is actually just one gift that I received from my loving family for Christmas. My wife and kids are the best. Once all the triangles were cut out, I cleaned them up a bit with some light sanding. I didn't get extremely particular here. I just wanted to clean up any splintering or rough edges. And here's all the angled supports and cleats ready to be assembled. To assemble the brackets, I'm clamping them into place using my newly installed bench vise that I got from my father-in-law a while back. I'm gluing and brad nailing the pieces in place. Now I didn't initially intend to brad nail them, but it held them in place so that I could drive the screws in. And it was a heck of a lot easier to do that rather than using clamps. I'm pre-drilling each hole using my new countersink bit. This will ensure that the heads of the screws won't be pushing out against the wall on the back of the cleats. I'm fairly confident that if I had only used screws or only used glue, that I probably would have had decent results, but I figured why not use both just to be safe. For the shelf tops themselves, it's just plywood that I'd cut into 12-inch strips. And since I already had the brad nailer out, I just nailed them in place on each of the brackets. This was initially intended to be a temporary measure, because I thought I would have to screw these shelf toppers down to the brackets. However, the brad nails did prove to be sufficient because the weight of the items themselves will be holding the shelf tops down. Now that is a lot of shelf space. Next thing I need to do is clean up and organize, but I'm not going to make you guys watch that part. Here's everything put in its proper place, for now anyway. I even made a little section to hold all of my clamps that I didn't put in the video, sorry. I'm sure I'm going to decide to move some of these things around eventually, but for now, this is the placement that I'm going with. This project was completed about a week and a half ago. Since then, I've had plenty of opportunities to test out the efficiency of the shop now. it is way, way better. I really love how organized and clean everything is, especially compared to before. Whoops, where'd that picture come from? I'm really happy with how the first part of my shop upgrade turned out, but what do you guys think? Do you have any suggestions? Let me know in the comments below. By the way, I say the first part of the shop upgrade because I have to figure out what to do with all this stuff next. Ugh. I bet you can guess what the next video is going to be about. Well, that was a lot of work, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. I know this video was a little bit different this week, and hopefully it wasn't too boring, but it's something that definitely needed done for a long time. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please be sure to like it below, and subscribe, and share it with somebody. And any comments with suggestions or criticisms are appreciated. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.